Today we're going to be learning how to work with Photoshop, building a project from scratch, meaning it didn't exist before. We're not opening up a picture, we're just going to open up a blank document in Photoshop. And for this project, I'm going to be teaching you how to create your title bar that is eventually going to be placed onto your website when we begin our web design portion of our 12-week course. In order to start a project that does not exist, building it from scratch, we're going to go ahead and click on the desktop icon for Adobe Photoshop. We'll give it a moment to open here. As it opens, I do want you to know that there may be times within this video where I will pause and then restart the video, so just be patient with those pieces. Now that it has begun to open though, we're going to go ahead and click on Photo Editor. You can pretty much always ignore this. We're going to open up Photo Editor, and we'll give it just a moment to open up as well. Once it opens up, we're going to be creating our blank document that we're going to build from scratch. So it's going to look like just a blank document that we're going to start adding stuff to. So here's our there's nothing here yet. This is just our basic space, and we're going to be going up to File, New, Blank File. This is going to pop up a few times while I'm giving instructions here. You can just go ahead and ignore this. It shouldn't pop up for you. I'm just going to go ahead and say close. We're going to name this project your title bar project. Title bar. If yours by default comes up with pixels, it's a little harder for most of us to understand. We understand inches better than we do pixels. So I'm going to ask that you change it to inches. If it's already at inches, you're going to want to go ahead and keep it that way. The width of this project, in order to fit on a web site, the width is going to need to be 8 inches. The height, be very careful about this one, is going to need to be 0.7. So that's 0.7 inches. Very small. It's going to look great on your websites though. Resolution, most of the time our resolution when we're creating a document, we're going to always want to keep it at 300, but that's not the case when we're trying to create a web-ready graphic. Because this is going to go directly onto the internet, we're going to change our resolution to 150 pixels per inch. Color mode, RGB, red, green, blue. We're going to leave the background white for now. We can always change that later as I teach you how to create backgrounds. And I'm going to go ahead and say OK. Now that we've done this, you might as well just go ahead and save it from here. So I'm going to go up to File, Save As. You're going to go into your Computers folder. In my Computers folder, I have a Photoshop folder. So I'm just going to go ahead and save it in there as a title bar in my Photoshop folder. And make sure it is a .psd Photoshop document. Remember, that's always the first choice that you have here. Don't confuse it with PDF, Photoshop PDF. That's a read-only file, and you can't work on a read-only file. You can just look at it. So we want it to be a Photoshop document .psd. I'm going to go ahead and say save. I believe I already have one in there that exists, so it's going to say, do you want to replace it? I do, so I'm going to go ahead and say OK. And there is my blank document. If you hit the the Alt key and then your finger scroll, you can zoom in and zoom out eventually when you need to zoom in. Sometimes you'll need to zoom out. So just the Alt key and the finger scroll will help you to do that. The first thing I want to show you now that we have created our blank document is how to create a background. There's several different ways to create a background. If you go down to the bottom in what's called your graphics, there's some text effects in here, but if I switch from text to backgrounds, you'll end up with several different backgrounds. Now, some of these backgrounds did not load with our program that we have here in the classroom. So some of them will come up and just say, hey, I can't load this. Just click OK and go choose a different background. But most of them should work for us. And so if you want to use a background from this window, from these selections, from these template backgrounds, all you have to do is double click or click and drag and drop it. So I'm just going to grab this one out and I'm going to stick it out there. Should be popping up any second here. And there it is. So you can use template backgrounds from the graphics tab changing to the backgrounds option. Okay, now I'm going to edit, undo, or Control Z. That's one way to create a background just using the templates. A second way to create a background is just simply by going over to the color swatch, the color picker. Again, this will pop up a few times, sorry. Go to the color swatch, the color picker. Choose any color you want to make your background. Let's just pretend I want mine to be red. Say OK, and then choose your paint bucket and paint it. Okay, I do want to make you aware of the layers palette, which right now only has one layer, and that's our background layer. Eventually we'll be adding other stuff, and you'll have multiple layers grouped on top of each other here. So that's another way of creating a background. Can you dress that background up a little bit? You sure can. If you go down to the FX tab, there are several different things you can add there. Under styles, you can get drop shadows, bevels, all kinds of different things in here. Under filters, there are several different types of filters and many categories of filters that you can use. Okay, let me warn you though, please notice that this is a tree. The effects are truly meant to be used on a picture. This isn't really a picture, it's just a flat shape, flat colored shape. So some of these effects will do nothing. They won't work. They won't do anything on this background. Some of these effects will do some pretty cool things. How do you know which effect will work and which effect will not work on just a flat colored shape? You try it. If you try it and it does something, hey, great. If you don't like it, edit, undo, or Control Z. If you do like it, you know, if you want to try a different one, you can do that too. Can you put multiple effects on something? Yes, you can. For now, I'm just going to grab this one out and see if it works. And notice it kind of gave you something, you know, additional, something more creative in your background. If you like it, keep it. If you don't, edit, undo, and try another background. So that is a second way to create a background. Okay? So your project's going to need a background. I would suggest you do that first and build everything else on top of it. The next thing you're going to need is text. So I'm going to go over here to our text tool, which right now everything's working kind of slow. There we go. And I want to choose the normal text typing tool, just the horizontal typing tool. I obviously do not want to type in red because red on red is kind of a problem. So I'm going to go ahead and change my color to whatever I want it to be. Let's just pretend I want it to be black. Now, in order to begin typing, you don't draw a text box. That's other programs. This is Photoshop. In Photoshop, you just click and you start typing. So I've picked my color. You can pick your font. I'll just leave it as the Hobo Standard here. You pick your font size. Right now I think 60 is going to work fine. I can always change it later. And I'm going to click. Now, this is going to go on your electronic portfolio, which is your website that we're going to be creating. So you're going to go ahead and call this like My Electronic Portfolio or My Portfolio or something like that. Notice I'm typing and it's partially off my project. I'm not panicking or anything. I can tell what I'm typing. I'm going to click on Commit the Current Operation, and then I can pick it up and move it. And here's where you can also do some resizing. So you can make little changes in there as well. And I think I'm going to go ahead and leave it at that size. Can you dress your font up? Well, if I highlight my font and then I go over here to Graphics, and instead of working in backgrounds this time, if I choose Text, I can add text effects to my words that I've written out here, my portfolio. Most of these will change the color and add a little bit of some kind of a creative texture to it. The one I like is down towards the bottom. It's just a simple outline. You don't have to use this one. There's all kinds of great choices for you. Here's what I like about the simple outline. It won't change the color of my font. So I'm going to go ahead and put the font text effect on there. And I'm going to confirm that change. Now notice it put a black outline on black text. That's no good. Doesn't look really good. So what can I do about that? If I go down to my layers and I open up my layers palette, you'll notice that now I have a text layer called My Portfolio, and I have this little FX that appeared there, meaning I have placed an effect on this layer. If I go ahead and double click the FX, this window pops open. With this window, I can make adjustments to my effect. For instance, I definitely don't want a black outline on my black text. So I'm going to click this color picker, and maybe I would choose, maybe I'm just going to go with white. Maybe I want some form of yellow. Okay? So whatever, you get to pick your color there. When that color that you like appears here, you can go ahead and click on OK. And then notice you can also change its size, and you can change its opacity. Can I see through it? Totally transparent, or totally opaque. Means I can see it or I can see through it. Okay? You can also take away the drop shadow that is automatically applied to it, or you can increase the size of the drop shadow, or you can increase the distance of the drop shadow. You can also decrease the opacity of it or increase the opacity of it, and you can change the angle of the drop shadow. If you're unhappy, you can press reset or take things off or add things on. So there's other things you can do in here. When you're happy, say OK. So that's one way of creating text. Another way of creating text, this is a little more creative and kind of fun. So I'm going to go over here to File, New, Blank File. I'm just going to create what I call cookie dough. You know what you do with cookie dough? You take your little cookie cutters and you cut out your cookie in it. Well, that's what we're going to do. We're going to create some cookie dough, and then we're going to use our cookie cutter to cut something out of it. So here's how we do that. You don't even need to title this because you're not necessarily going to save it unless you want to. I don't want it to be the same dimensions as my title bar, so I'm going to make this an 8-inch square. I'm going to go ahead and change this to 350 pixels. Well, we'll just leave it at 300. 300 pixels. Color mode, background mode, RGB, all that. This is good, and I'm going to say OK. If you'll notice down in your photo bin, I now have two projects that are open. If I double click, I can go back to this one. If I double click, I can go back to this one. The first thing I want to do is create my cookie dough. I certainly don't want plain, white, boring cookie dough. So I'm going to add some stuff to it, whether it's some color or some effects. I could even go up over to graphics, switch back to those backgrounds, and I could put just a background in it. So let me go pick some kind of a neat kind of background here. Maybe this looks kind of cool. Let's see if this one works. Remember, some of them don't load in the program we have here at school. This looks like it's going to work. Cool. All right, I kind of like that. That's kind of interesting. It's neat. So now I'm going to go over here to my text tool, and I'm going to switch to the horizontal typing mask tool. Choose the font that you want. I think I'm going to go with like a 60 this time. The color really doesn't matter because it's just going to cut it out from here. I'm going to find a space that I really like, that I want my words to look like. So, you know, this has a lot of different areas in it. I kind of like that. So I'm just going to go like right about here. Don't worry, this is the mask tool that you've already been trained on. And I'm just going to start typing. Notice I did not draw a text box. And I'm going to type my portfolio. Okay, my portfolio. And then I'm going to confirm that change. Now notice that I have this little selection here. In order to take that selection from the background, I have to go up to Edit, Copy, Edit, Paste. If I go over to my Layers palette, you'll notice that I have a layer of just those text. If I hide the background, there's my text. Using the Move tool, opening my photo bin, I can pick this up, drag it down, and drop it on my original portfolio title bar. Now I'm just going to zoom out a little bit, Alt, and use the finger scroll. And I can make this smaller and add it to my project. I'm going to get rid of this one, or for now I'm just going to kind of hide it. Now this is not text, this is actually a picture of text. If we want to add some effects to that, we can, but we cannot add them as if they were text. I'm going to pause this video for just a brief moment. Okay, I'm back. Remember, you cannot treat this type of title as text. We did not create it from text. We created it from cookie dough. Okay, so it's not really text. It's kind of a picture of words. So we cannot treat it as a text, and therefore we cannot add text effects. But we can add effects. So if I go over here into effects and I choose styles, I can get all different kinds of things, but for now I'm just going to choose that basic drop shadow. There's several different types of drop shadows. I'm going to go ahead and add this one just by, I can double click or I can click and drag and drop it. As long as this is selected and not this, I can just drag it out there and drop it on it. And you notice that instantly it added your drop shadow. Once I've added an effect to it, remember what happens. I go into my layers palette. There is an effects there. If I double click the effects, I can make changes to it. For instance, I can change the angle of my drop shadow. I can change the distance of my drop shadow. I can change the opacity of my drop shadow. I can add strokes, different colors. I can add a bevel to it. In this case, I think I'm going to go ahead and add a bevel. I'm pretty happy, so I'm going to click on OK. Now, we've been going at this for a pretty long time now. It's important several times within a working period that you save. I've already saved as before. Actually, no, I haven't saved. I just opened it. Yeah, we did. We saved at the beginning. So I'm just going to click on Save because I've already clicked on Save As. So it's important to save as or save at least a couple of times during the portion of a class time. So now I have text on there. I've shown you two different ways to add text. The second way being a little bit more difficult because it takes more time, but it's much more creative. So it's up to you, whichever you choose. Another thing that you're going to need to have on your title bar project is a graphic of you. Now, I'm going to open up a picture that I have previously selected. I'm in my U drive folder. And I have a picture of the Donald in here. So I'm going to right click and open him with Photoshop. So I've got my projects open down here, double click and I can switch between them all. But I'm going to go ahead and use my selection tools that we've already learned how to use. Now you're going to do a much better job than I am, but for the sake of time, I'm just going to do a real generic selection of the Donald. As a matter of fact, I might even get a better selection using my magic tool. So let's see if that does it. That's not too bad. I'm liking this. Now I'm going to fix this using my normal selection brush. I'm going to subtract this area. And I'm going to add the area of the microphone, because technically behind that microphone is Donald Trump. Matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and add his collar. And I'm going to subtract. I'm just going to kind of trim off this collarbone here. Maybe I'll add a little bit more of this collar here. Oops, I got to add his chin. I'm going to go back here and see if we can get to that chin. Good. Now, I've made my selection. Remember, it's always important to go to Select, Save Selection, name your selection. And it's important to go up to File, save as, and save that as, in this case, you might just call it profile, because that's your profile image. Now, you're going to do this for you. I'm just using Donald Trump as my example. Once you've done that, you can switch to your Move tool, go back to your photo bin. Well, actually, I'm gonna stay here. I'm gonna go with an edit, cut, edit, paste. I'm gonna drag, or I'm gonna hide the background layer, and then on this layer, I'm gonna do a simple enhance, adjust color, adjust hue saturation, which you've already learned, and I'm going to drag the lightness all the way down. Hey, look at that. I've created a profile of the Donald.
Pardon the interruption, teachers and students.
Okay, sorry for the interruption with the announcement that came over, but we're going to go ahead and continue from there. Now that we've made our profile into what's called a silhouette, which this is going to be your silhouette, not Donald Trump's, we're going to go ahead and add it to our project with the photo bin open at the bottom and our Move tool already selected. All I have to do is pick it up and drag it over and drop it on there. And then I'm just going to resize it, and I'm going to position it wherever I would like it to be. Now, just because you see me positioning it in this spot does not mean you have to position it in that spot. This is your project. You can put it wherever you want to put it. Okay? So I have my profile graphic on my project. So it's my portfolio, and therefore it's my profile image. The last thing you're going to want to add to your title bar for your website that we're creating is an image, a picture of something that you've created in this class. So I'm going to go down to I already have it open, that's why I can click on my folder. I'm in my U drive, I'm in my computers folder, and I'm going to go ahead and open up a project that I have created already, and I actually have a selfie project that I created for an example, and I used my son for that. So somewhere in here is my son's selfie project, and I believe this is it. So I'm going to click on it, and then I'm going to choose right click open with Photoshop, which is all review for you, and you'll see down in my photo bin that my son's selfie project comes up, and we're going to pretend that's me because this is my portfolio. I'm going to, in this case, I want to put this project on this project, so I'm going to open up my title bar, and I'm just going to drag this one up and drop it on there. Now it almost always will center it in the middle, and you can move it to wherever you want it to be. As a matter of fact, I think what I'm going to do is put this one over here, and I'll move this one over here, and I don't like the fact that he's facing the other direction, so I'm just going to flip him. So, where you arrange these things is up to you. This is the actual completion of my title bar project, and you're welcome to go over the video as many times as you need to get this, and I hope you have good luck with it. We are going to be placing it on our website once we begin the web design portion of the class.